My name is Daniel, and this happened a little over a year ago, right after my wife and I moved into what we thought was going to be our dream home. At the time, we were excited in a way that almost felt childish, like life was finally settling down and we could start focusing on building something real together. Steady jobs, a quiet neighborhood, a house with a clean yard. It all felt perfect. But perfection has a way of rotting fast when you realize the only thing separating you from danger is a single wall and a locked door. We bought a modest two-bedroom place in a quiet suburban cul-de-sac in North Carolina. Nothing fancy, just a simple, peaceful neighborhood. Kids riding bikes in the evenings, people mowing lawns on Sundays, dogs barking in the distance. The kind of place where you think nothing bad ever happens, where everyone waves from their porch, where life seems predictable. But that illusion shattered after the first week. And it all started with the house to our right. It didn't look abandoned. It didn't look scary. But something about it felt sealed off. The blinds never moved. The front yard was clean but unnervingly untouched, like nobody ever stepped foot out there. No trash cans ever appeared on garbage day, and the driveway was always empty, until the fourth night we lived there. That was the night I noticed a dark blue sedan parked in the driveway. I remember joking to my wife, "Well, looks like we finally have a neighbor." She laughed and said, "Good." I was starting to think that house was haunted. We were wrong on the details, but we weren't wrong about the vibe. The next morning, as I was loading a few boxes into the garage, I looked up and saw him. A man, maybe mid-50s, tall, slightly hunched, with grayish hair, standing behind the blinds in his front window watching me. Not like a curious neighbor, not even like someone annoyed, just staring, expressionless, unblinking. I froze for a second, confused, and the instant he noticed I'd seen him, he shifted the blinds back into place. Quick, sharp, like he was used to hiding. I tried to brush it off, but something about it stuck with me. My wife didn't believe me at first, but 2 days later she saw him too. She was watering the little flower bed she made near our porch when she happened to glance toward the house next door, and saw the same man in the upstairs window, standing still, head tilted slightly, watching her like she was some kind of display. She dropped the watering can and ran inside. That night she told me, "There's something seriously wrong with that man, Daniel. He wasn't just looking, he was studying me." I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I tried to be logical about it. "Maybe he's just socially awkward," I said. "Maybe he's harmless." But I didn't even believe myself, because the next incident removed any doubt that this was more than awkward neighbor behavior. It was around 2 a.m. when my wife woke me up saying she heard something outside, something like footsteps on gravel. Our bedroom window faced the fence between our house and his, so I pulled the curtain just an inch to peek out, and I swear, my stomach dropped to the floor. There he was, in our side yard, walking slowly, like he was taking his time, his posture rigid, his head moving in small jerks as if listening for something. He wasn't carrying anything. He wasn't doing anything normal. He was just wandering on our property. I whispered, "What the hell is he doing here?" My wife whispered back, "Daniel, call someone." But I didn't. I froze, because when I whispered, he stopped walking. He turned his head, not toward the yard, not toward our door, but toward our window, as if he heard me, as if he knew exactly where we were. His face was barely visible in the porch light, but I could see enough. His lips were slightly parted, and his eyes looked wide, almost hollow. I didn't say a word. I slowly backed away from the window. My heart was slamming against my ribs. We didn't sleep that night. The next morning I went next door and knocked. I rehearsed what I'd say, maybe a polite question, maybe a warning, but when the door opened, all the words died in my throat. He stood there wearing the exact same expressionless face. No greeting, no curiosity. Nothing but a blank stare that felt like it could peel skin off bones. Hey," I stuttered. "I think you might have been in our yard last night. I just wanted to make sure everything's okay." He blinked, once, slowly. Then he said, in a flat, emotionless voice, "No, that wasn't me." There was no tone, no confusion, no embarrassment, just a denial that sounded like a machine reading from a script. Before I could say anything else, he closed the door. Not angrily, not rudely, just mechanically. I told my wife, and she begged me to install cameras. I ordered some online, but they wouldn't arrive for a few days, and those few days felt like living in a pressure cooker. Every night there were sounds, light footsteps, shuffling gravel, the creak of a wooden gate slowly opening. Every night we'd freeze in bed, holding our breath, listening. But the worst happened on the 5th night. My wife screamed from downstairs, a raw, terrified scream that jolted me awake so hard my body felt numb. I sprinted down the stairs and found her standing in the hallway, shaking violently, pointing at the front door. There were scratches, deep, jagged scratches running all the way down the wooden door, like someone had dragged something sharp across it over and over. Beside the scratches was something else. Handprints, not dirty handprints, not bloody ones, just oily, smeared prints, like someone had pressed their palms hard against the door, sliding them downward. We called the police immediately. 2 officers came, inspected the door, took photos, and then walked next door to talk to him. We watched from our window. He answered the door. He talked to them calmly. He shook his head. He shrugged. And then he smiled. When the police came back, they told us he denied everything, and that without proof, they couldn't do anything but file a report. My wife broke down crying after they left. She wanted to stay with her sister for a few nights, but I insisted we'd be okay. I shouldn't have. I regret it to this day. Because that night, we learned what fear really feels like. It was around 3:30 a.m. when the sound woke me up. Not footsteps, not scratching, not the creak of a fence, but a voice, a whisper, right outside our bedroom window. I shot up in bed, adrenaline flooding my system so fast I felt sick. My wife was already awake, sitting upright with both hands covering her mouth. Tears were streaming down her face. The voice was low, shaky, but clear enough to understand. "I know you're awake." Every muscle in my body tightened. The whisper came again. "I've been waiting." Something inside me snapped. Not courage, just pure panic disguised as action. I ran downstairs, grabbed the biggest kitchen knife we had, and sprinted to the yard with my phone in my other hand. He wasn't there, but my blood ran cold when I looked at the ground. There were footprints, fresh ones, leading from his fence straight toward our window, and back. The police came again, but it was the same response. No evidence, no witnesses, nothing they could legally do. That morning, I told my wife we were leaving. Not next month, not next week, that day. We packed essential bags and went to stay with my brother, planning to return later for the rest. 2 days passed without going back home, and I almost convinced myself that maybe I'd imagined some parts of it. But then I got a call from one of our neighbors, the woman who lived in the house across the street. She told me she saw something the night before, something she thought we should know. She said she saw our neighbor, the man with the blank face, standing in our driveway at 1 a.m. Not walking, not snooping, just standing completely still, staring at our house for almost 15 minutes. The police asked if we wanted to pursue a restraining order. We tried. But because he never physically entered our home or made a direct threat, it was denied. That was the last straw. We sold the house at a loss just 3 months after buying it. We didn't care about the money anymore. We just wanted to feel safe again. We moved states, changed phone numbers, stopped checking the old neighborhood entirely. But sometimes, I still dream about him, about that blank stare, about that whisper, about knowing that someone can fixate on you so deeply, so quietly, that you only realize you're in danger when it's far too late. To this day, I believe if we had stayed even one more week, you would have seen our names in the news. And the man next door, the one who never smiled, would have finally done whatever he'd been planning all along.